Hey guys, Sam here from KeyCommerce.com. In this video, you're going to learn how to optimize your product feed and your product data in Google Merchant Center. Not optimizing your product feed is one of the biggest mistakes store owners can make, and it's directly costing you sales and profits. Most store owners just create the product feed and they don't realize that you can edit it further, and you can do it without changing anything on your website. Now, why is this more important than ever? Because shopping has completely changed. We're dealing with AI-driven shopping assistants now. When a buyer uses Google's AI to find a product, it completely bypasses your website. It goes straight to the raw data inside your Google Merchant Center account to answer the buyer's questions. If your feed is incomplete, the AI skips you and recommends a competitor that has a complete feed. And that's not just AI mode. Even on the regular Google search and the Google Shopping tab, Google uses the product feed and the product data to understand what your products are and who to show them to when you run your Google Shopping and Performance Max campaigns. Let me show you what I mean. Say you have a store that sells handmade rugs, minimalist design, short product names that look great on your site. Something like the Midnight Oasis. We see this all the time when we audit stores at our agency. And it works perfectly as a brand product name. But as a product title in your product feed, it's unoptimized. Nobody is searching for the Midnight Oasis. They're searching for navy blue, hand-knitted area rug 5x7. And if your feed doesn't say that, Google doesn't make the connection. You just missed a sale. So what we want to do is go into our Google Merchant Center account. We want to rewrite the title to include the keywords that actually matter. The material, the size, the pattern, the production method, all of it. And that's exactly what we're covering in this video today. We also put together a full handbook that goes into everything we're going to cover. Completely free, you'll find it down in the description down below. So let's get into Google Merchant Center and start optimizing. Over on the left-hand menu, click on Products. This pulls up your active catalog. Click on a specific item and open its product details page. This is the exact raw data Google is looking at. To make changes, hit the Edit Product button right here. Now, a quick but important warning before we go any further. If you're using a third-party feed app like Simproses or Data Feed Watch, you want to make these attribute edits in your feed app's mapping settings, not directly in Merchant Center. That's where the data is coming from. These apps sit between your store and Google. If you manually edit the title here, your app will likely override it next time it syncs. The strategies we're covering are exactly the same. You'll just have to apply them in your feed tool instead. And one more thing before we dive in. Nothing you edit here touches your actual website. If you change a title in Merchant Center, your ads will use the new version, but your Shopify or WooCommerce store will still show the original. Okay, let's run through each of these attributes one by one. This is the product page link. Pretty self-explanatory. I recommend you don't change it. Now here's the product title. This is an attribute I do recommend you consider for revising. You want to think like a shopper here and put in the keywords that best describe your product. That's, of course, its product type, such as navy blue hand-knitted area rug, to reuse my previous example, but also keywords that narrow down from a broad product category to more specific. With the rug example, that could be the material like hand-spun wool or natural cotton. It could be the weave style like hand-knitted or flat woven. It could be the size like 5x7 or 8x10. Or the pattern, like geometric or floral, and even the dye method, like plant-based natural dyes. You see how these keywords are search terms that shoppers might use. Therefore, you want Google to consider your product highly relevant to them. Now, don't overdo this. You don't want to keyword stuff your title. You see this when shopping on Amazon quite often with long word salad titles. You want to be specific and descriptive. That's it. Okay, moving on to the brand attribute. If you're selling your own stuff, this will be your store's name or the specific brand you've assigned to the product. If you're reselling a major brand, let's say a Timex watch, then you'll want to put that brand in here. Next is the description, and this matters more than it used to. AI assistants scan this text to understand how a product is used in the real world. So make sure it covers the practical features, what the item is made of, how it's used, care instructions, anything a buyer would want to know. Don't just put your website description and leave it. If it's too vague, rewrite it to clearly describe what the product actually is. And keep it free of promotional text such as free shipping or buy one get one free or anything like that, as that's against Google's policies. Let's scroll down to product images. For optimization, Google offers a generative AI tool to help you spruce up your images. I'm going to leave that outside the scope of this video. To be honest, it hasn't been that useful for my team so far. There are other AI tools out there that do a better job. But if you have 3D models of your product, absolutely add those URLs here. Let's keep going. Next is product type. This is just for your own organization, not Google's. It's useful for when you're creating product groups based on the product type. Moving on to condition. This is simply where you can identify if your product is refurbished or used. Otherwise, Google assumes a default of new. Now for price, currency, availability, sale price, and sale date range, I suggest that you change these at the data source. That means if your data source is your Shopify store, change these details there, not here. Google checks these attributes regularly, each day. A discrepancy can get your product disapproved quickly. I've never seen a situation where it's better to change these attributes directly in Merchant Center. The next section covers product identifiers. This is where many common mistakes happen, so please pay close attention here. This section will save you from some future headaches. The ID or SKU is the unique identifier for this product for Google. If you've successfully imported your feed from Shopify, this should already be filled in. Do not overwrite it. Doing so would create a new product for Google. Then it will forget all the data history it collected for the original one. My team and I have seen entire catalogs get their IDs accidentally changed. All campaign performance dropped immediately after. The next field for your products is GTIN, or Global Trade Item Number. This can have several other acronyms such as UPC, EAN, or ISBN. Basically, it's the internationally recognized ID for your product. You know the barcode that gets scanned at checkout? It's that. Your product might not have one, and that's okay, we'll cover that in a few seconds. But if your product does have a GTIN code, this is where you want to enter it. One of the most common warnings that Google has for products is missing GTIN. That's because when it believes that a product has one, it wants to be absolutely sure. Because a product with a GTIN is likely not only being sold by you, but by other sellers online too. If Google can identify all these products as the same one, it can better optimize your ads. This is because it uses the data history of how all the sellers have performed with this product. This is why it presses so hard for an accurate GTIN here. However, not all products have GTINs. You may have a one-of-a-kind or vintage product with no identifier. Or you can assign an MPN, manufacturer part number. If your product isn't one-of-a-kind, then it's crucial that you have an MPN. Make up one if you have to, that's totally fine. Just keep it unique within your catalog. This lets Google know that this product can be purchased multiple times. That's important because it will start learning about how the product performs with your shopping audience. If it's a one-of-a-kind item, Google won't bother much trying to learn about it. Because there's no real point. We've seen so many store sellers make this mistake. In turn, they lose out on Google's smart optimization because they miss this. Okay, the next three sections are language, countries, and marketing methods. These attributes aren't editable at a product level. Google displays them here just for reference, so let's skip over to custom labels. These labels are not visible to shoppers on Google. They're simply used by you, the advertiser, for your own purposes. The most common and useful way to use this is for product segmentation. This is useful for a few things, like if you want to label all your high-margin products, your best sellers, or your high-ticket items. Then, when you set up your campaign, you can organize your products according to these labels. My team uses these on almost all client accounts. They're very useful. I go deeper on this in both our free Google Shopping course and on a dedicated video on how to set up custom labels. I'm going to link both below in the description, so go check them out. Alright, let's review the next section, which is called apparel product details. It's called that because these attributes are mandatory if your product is apparel. However, even if your product isn't apparel, we strongly suggest that you put in relevant information here. For example, if you're selling a couch, then color, size, material, and pattern are all attributes that people filter by when couch shopping. Or if you're selling a kid's bike designed for girls, then gender and age group make sense to put in. Let's run through each of these attributes. For color, choose dominant color. If there's a second color, add a slash and then that color as well. If there's a third color, add another slash and that third color. Stop adding colors after that. Google only wants the 3 most dominant colors. If your product has a bunch of colors and none are dominant, simply enter multicolored. And as a recommendation, keep your color name simple. Instead of dusty ash, just use gray. Instead of blushing rose, just use pink. This ensures your products can be properly filtered by color on Google. For size, also just keep it simple. Use S for small, M for medium, and so on. For example, for shoe size, use 11.5 for 11.5. For non-apparel items, it gets less intuitive, so my team has written up a guide that I'll share with you. It helps understand the best formats to use here when size is an important attribute of your product. I'll leave a link down below. The size type attribute is specific to apparel only. It refers to the cut, whether it's petite, plus sized, regular, or tall, and so on. Size system is also just for apparel. Because different countries have different systems of indicating size measurements, this is where you can ensure Google gets it right. Next is gender. If your product isn't targeted towards a gender, just keep this on the default of unisex. Material works like the color attribute. Input the dominant material, then secondary and third as necessary. Pattern is not a mandatory attribute, but if your product has a pattern, then this is the place to indicate it. Age group is self-explanatory since Google shows the age ranges in the selection fields. In the additional product details section, I'm going to cover 5 of these attributes. The last 4 are very particular to only a few types of products. The first one here is whether this product is adult-oriented. That's very different from setting the age group to adult. Google allows for the advertiser of adult-oriented products in most countries, but it strictly demands that they be categorized as such. The next is multi-pack. Multi-pack means that you've taken 2 or more of the same item that is available in your store and combined them into one package. For example, let's say you sell t-shirts. You can sell them individually in your store, but you can also create a package of 2 t-shirts. In this case, you would put the number 2 for this multi-pack product. This is different from creating a bundle, which is the next attribute. Checking this would indicate to Google that this product is a package of 2 or more different items packaged into a bundle. Next is item group ID. Let's say you're selling a t-shirt and it comes in different sizes and colors. The t-shirt itself is considered one product, and each available size or color is called a variation. So if this item is one of those variations, item group ID is how you can identify the product it belongs to. This ID must be unique to that product and remain the same for all of its variants. The final attribute I want to cover in this section is product highlight. Small online store owners do not make enough use of this attribute in the product data. Let's say you make and sell quilts, and the materials that you use are all completely organic. This is where you should share that as a product highlight. It will help Google know that when shoppers specifically look for organic or sustainable bedding, that this product is relevant to advertise. Every product has at least 3 or 4 highlights like this that can be called out. It just takes a bit of time and thought on your part. See below for a link to product highlights for various products that may help in writing these. These are the small details that give you an edge, especially when you're competing against major online stores with much bigger budgets. Okay, the rest of the attributes are pretty straightforward in what Google requires. If you have any questions about them or you want a deep dive on any specific attribute, drop it in the comments down below. Now, if you have a very large feed, editing manually in Google Merchant Center can get time consuming pretty quickly. There are other tools that can make this a lot easier to manage at scale, and if you want us to cover these in a separate video, let us know in the comments down below. Guys, if you want to learn how to set up and scale your Google Shopping campaigns to over 50K per month, check out our free Google Shopping course. It covers everything from setting up your product feed to creating your campaigns and then optimizing and scaling them. Completely free, I'll leave a link down below in the description. And if you'd rather have our team handle all of the product optimization and scaling your campaigns for you, get in touch with us. Our clients don't just get campaigns. They get a complete ad setup built around their margins, their products, and their growth targets, managed by the same team that scaled stores to 7 figures. Book in a free strategy session with my team and we'll show you how to do this for your own store. Link is in the description. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now. Make sure to check out our other videos. This one here might be especially useful for you.